It's April 6th, 2020. I'm Tucker Rash. As COVID-19 forces people away from each other, I feel like creativity really has the potential to blossom in this new age. If you use the new time to yourself wisely, it might be possible to nurture skills that really bring us back in touch with humanity. I've already noticed a couple of my favorite creatives viscerally reacting to the new pandemic in creative formats. One of my favorite bands, Ice Age, just released a new song called Lockdown Blues that explores feelings surrounding the pandemic.
Touch is deafening. COVID-19, lockdown blues. COVID-19, lockdown blues.
A more local example is that one of my friends, Chris Monzon, who plays instruments in a couple different bands around town, just curated a new compilation called Quarantine Dream.
Enjoy the privilege of the living death.
I'll join the vehicle, I'll join the ISIS, party with the caliphate. To the E, Chicago 7, to the D, went to heaven with a man, all my brethren. Man, chance are not secure, maybe Bezos was the cure, one way to know for sure.
The mix features new music from all sorts of musicians around town dealing with the new quarantine and pandemic. The last piece of media I want to talk about, though, is a bit of a heavy hitter. It's the new episode of the Team Human podcast from Douglas Rushkoff. Rushkoff is one of my favorite modern-day thinkers. His Team Human podcast exists in an attempt to make people more aware that all of this technology that we are convinced brings us together actually does nothing but treat us like cattle for profit. Rushkoff wants to bring people together in a real way. There's power in numbers and community, and there's no reason that we need to be mindlessly living in accordance with algorithms that simply want us to buy stuff. In the latest episode of Team Human, Rushkoff speaks with author and social critic James Howard Kunstler. Kunstler discusses the possibilities of what he thinks to come after the dust settles from the current pandemic, which he thinks is just the beginning of something he calls the long emergency. We're currently being handed an opportunity to reorient our belief systems and our lives. When the dust settles, could we finally find ourselves living in a new age where we don't define our human worth by capital gain and productivity? Perhaps a new age of community-driven support for humanity, localization, and teamwork is on the horizon. It's just up to us to realize it. I think the current pandemic has a real opportunity to radicalize a lot of people. We're learning what makes human life worthwhile, and it has nothing to do with the economy.
Sure, we can go back to work, but we can't even make our own respirators. Imagine instead if our main reason for returning to work was to make and do things people actually need to live good lives, instead of simply doing our part to keep the wealthy safely protected from the rest of us. Now that's some positive thinking.
So please consider listening to this episode of the Team Human podcast. I know you don't really have much else to do right now. If you're pent up at home, you're gonna need an outlet. Instead of using this time to mindlessly scroll and let corporations think for you, consider turning this video off, putting your phone down, and making something. Peace out.